When you hear the sound of the bell, you know you're in the championship rounds with King Amin of Essex. So let's get to it. Recap of last week's action, a controversial world title bout. I'm talking about Mayelli Flores Rosquero getting the split decision win over Nazarena Romero. And the interesting thing is, again, depending on how you wanted to score it, a lot of people saw Romero landing that right hand devastatingly, but some people gave the credit to the pressure and the volume, and the punches landed because of the volume to Rosquero. Had a style very reminiscent of Erica Cruz, who's fighting this weekend. We'll talk about that later. So never mind the controversial. Again, Rosquero won split decision. Romero was awkwardly gracious. I mean, ridiculously gracious. And now I know why. Rematch clause, she's activated it, so they're going to run it back. Now, what I'm hoping is, what I'm praying for is that Pro Box has the means and the foresight. You see, Matchroom divesting and MVP investing. This is a good time for Pro Box to swoop right in there and invest in this card right here. And I'm talking about that rematch, Romero Rosquero 2, but also the rematch between Jasmine Artiga and Regina Chavez. All right. Chavez got a fight brewing. I'll talk about that. But wouldn't it be nice for Pro Box to have the main and the co-main and then whatever else they can put together, but see them investing in women's boxing? I'd love to see it. Sure, you guys are going to tune in for the rematch. So stay tuned for a date announcement. Also, recapping some other action from the weekend. Nina Meinke retains her IBF title in a 12-by-3. She defended against Daniela Bermudez in a rematch of their previous bout. The previous time, I believe Meinke was an interim titleist or waiting for an opportunity against Serrano. Something happened along the way. She earned the title and now she defended it in her first defense. She won the bout. Again, 12-by-3. That's the way she's going to do it. I anticipate Meinke making everybody come over to Germany, or if she's coming to stateside, it's got to be a 12-by-3. So with that being said, what's next for Meinke? There's always the Serrano fight that was supposed to happen in Puerto Rico. But then why not Tiara Brown? And I think this is a great opportunity for Tiara Brown to also position herself as an opponent for Serrano if that opportunity should present itself. We know Serrano's a big proponent of 12-by-3. Serrano and Meinke were going to do a 12-by-3. Why doesn't Tiara Brown challenge? And I know the WBC don't allow it, so maybe she can't put her belt on the line, but challenge Meinke for that IBF, even if it's in Germany. She's already went on the road and won in Australia. Get that IBF football from Meinke and position yourself for bigger opportunities, because otherwise, not much going on in the featherweight division. So, yeah, what does a champion do? Are they a champion until they defend? It's time to defend. So let's see what Tiara Brown does next. Also, quick news and notes from the weekend. Natalie Dove versus Nayeli Rodriguez. Rodriguez, I told y'all, I'm sure I might have mentioned to you or to someone, she was a very solid opponent for Natalie Dove. The fight ended in a technical draw because of a headbutt, clash of heads. Um, if you don't see them run it back now, they'll run it back later. Reminds me of Marlene Esparza and Senicia Estrada when they first met. Kind of a messy ending to it. Never really got a chance to settle it out, and then so on. But Elise Soto. No, that fight actually ended in a draw. It was Elise Soto, the Puerto Rican prospect, 7 wins, all by KO. Her bout was ruled a draw due to the headbutts. And so maybe we'll see what's next for Soto. All right. Now, one more fighter, and I'm just going to get into this is my perspective. She's going to be the Fundora killer. Yes. So if Fundora is the sweet poison, Perla Bazaldua, she is the antidote, the Fundora killer, the antidote. Perla Bazaldua made her pro debut on Top Rank. She's long, she's tall, she's slim. throws and combinations. Maybe doesn't have the power, but my issue with Fundora, and I'm not trying to rush her or make any foul statements about her, but just truthfully, physically, she's not going to have any competition as long as she goes between 108 and 112. There's more parity at 115 due to the physiological disposition. You see a lot of opponents that'll probably be taller, thinner, longer, so they'll be more competitive. Bantamweight, same thing, but Perla is at 115, right? So is Fundora just gonna pass her and say, hey, I'm just, or will they eventually meet? I don't know, but be on the lookout for Perla Bazaldua. She is a very good fighter. I like her style. She's got some growth to do as far as physically and stylistically, but like her so far, so good. Pay attention to her. I'm not sure how long Top Rank carries her, but nice to add her to the stable along with Michaela Mayer. So now, what I was mentioning earlier, Regina Chavez hopefully can be in a rematch with Jasmine Artiga for that WBA title. But until then, perhaps it'll be Regina Chavez versus Leanna Cruz, Bumblebee out of Pennsylvania, right? Out of Allentown. It's going to be a tough fight for Cruz. A lot of people didn't think she beat Maylis Gangloff. And you're talking about a more polished style, just more volume with punches and more accuracy than Gangloff. Gangloff is a little bit tight. Chavez is a little bit more looser and a little bit more active. She'll be more accurate than Gangloff. And Cruz is going to have a pretty tough time. And if she wins, certainly deserves a shot at the WBA title. Yeah, hell of a position to be in. So that's at 115, guys. Pay attention to that belt. Haven't got the formal announcement, but stay tuned. Some other news and notes. We're talking about Tia Iton. Hope I pronounced her name right. She's a featherweight prospect, will just signed to Matchroom. Remember, I told you Matchroom divesting. Well, not so fast, because they got this featherweight prospect who they intend to market in the featherweight division. Now, does that mean that Sky is moving up or moving down, or who knows? But I just think it's just, a good pick. A good pick. A lot of people see her as a future world talent, and Matchroom investing early. Again, letting Ellie Scottney's contract expire. We're gonna see what they'll do with Stephanie Pinheiro as well, right? Are they gonna keep her contract or let Serrano get that or something? I gotta see how things turn out. But salute to them. Got news that well, let's keep it on the signings. As I mentioned about 4 months ago, Holly Holm signs with MVP, Most Valuable Promotions. Now, what does that do? Chantelle Cameron signs with Most Valuable Promotions. I mentioned that about a month ago. It all makes sense. And let me remind you, go back and check out that episode. But let me just remind you of what happens. What could happen is Holly Holm, she's got a fight in June. Her first boxing match in I don't know, maybe 12 years, 13 years. But she's been active in MMA, certainly at a high level as well. Former two-division champion, former undisputed welterweight champion, and a Hall of Famer. Considered to be one of the most decorated fighters, world champions in women's boxing. So respect to Holly Holm, and I get it. She hasn't boxed and so on, but it's like riding a bike, or at least we'll see. Her return may allow her to eventually face a Chantelle Cameron. Now, what I'm thinking is Cameron may not need a tune-up. Maybe Holm will be the tune-up, since Holm has been out of the ring, inexperienced, will only get to one fight, and then Cameron kind of coming off of some distance activity. I wouldn't say inactivity as well. She I don't know, she just beat somebody reasonable, so yeah, but it has been some time, maybe 4 months out of the ring, so they could kind of go straight to, if as long as Holm looks good. Now she's fighting an undefeated fighter, so that's how you know this is an expedited schedule. So what we could see is Chantelle Cameron versus Holly Holm. That's a good warm-up for Holm. reasonable credibility as far as the opponent. And then Cameron, assuming she beats Holly Holm, gets the winner of Taylor Serrano 3. All right. So that's how it could turn out. Could turn out that way. Of course, we could see Bumgarner make a play at 140 and take on, Holm as a warm-up en route to Cameron, and a lot of things. But I see Cameron and Holm meeting in the interim while the winner waits for whoever wins between Serrano and Taylor. So good stuff going on. That's a very, very solid signing. Let's talk about Clarissa Shields vacating the titles at 160. I know the WBA is vacant, but she vacated, what was it? She vacated the WBA. And the ring. Did she vacate the ring as well? We'll see. Now, Desley Robinson, the middleweight division, it is what it is. Desley Robinson is probably positioning herself to become, or at least challenge for undisputed. She's out of Australia. She's got wins over Kay Scott. Yeah, let her in. As far as the opponents that's challenging, middleweight is a wide open division. You got Mary Casamasas, who's rated #1 in the WBC, and she'll be facing Tam Tabolt. So you can imagine the winner of that bout easily positions himself for a title shot in the WBC. Tam Tabolt is only, 2-1. She'll be only be in her third fight, a decorated amateur. Casamassa, I believe, is 5-0. Robinson herself, doesn't have the longest record. You know what I'm saying? Kay Scott, same thing. So it's mostly decorated amateurs that are turned pro, and they're just making a run for the title. So let's see how the middleweight division is so interesting. Yo, they got Melinda Watpool rated at #4. Hannah Gabriel's, Melinda Curry, and even Maricela Cornejo, who just had a baby, right? She's rated in the middleweight division. So it's kind of wide open. We'll see how things play out. But I'm expecting Desley Robinson to contend for the WBC as soon as it becomes available, either after the Casamassa and Thibault fight or, whatever. But Kim Clavel, shout out to Kim Clavel. She is ranked very high between 105 and 108. Well, I'd say in either 105 or 108. She's ranked either 1 or 2 in at least 2 sanctioning bodies per division. Question becomes, where are the opportunities? Now, I'd love to see Clavel get her rematch against Jessica Neri Plata. Yeah, even Evelyn Bermudez, those are great fights for Clavel, right? If she want to go down 105 and get some smoke, all right. Of course, Jocasta Valle. I believe that's a hell of a fight, either in Canada or Costa Rica, Mexico, California. Who the hell knows? But bring it on. And certainly Kim Clavel deserves another title shot. Been a long time since she's had one. All right. So going back to Holly Holm again, the return of Holly Holm does a lot for boxing, so much so, and just let me add it to her credibility. Um, Michaela Mayer said that she would not turn down a fight with Holly Holm. All right. So Holly Holm is again respected legendary status in boxing. Never mind some of my constituents who totally disregard Holm's credibility as a viable opponent at this stage in her career. Let's just give her a chance and see what she can do. All right. I don't think there's much else going on. So let's talk about some of the action from Fight Week. Now, I know last Fight Week, Peggy Whitmore and Christina Ayura, that 130-pound bout has been scrapped, postponed. Don't know when it's going to be, but stay tuned. Shout out to Peggy Whitmore staying in the view of those that can see that she's poised for greatness. However, a friend of mine, a friend of yours, Serena McCoy, from Las Vegas by way of Georgia. I don't know if she still's got that IBO super welterweight strap, but yeah, she's in action this weekend against Gracia Serrano. That's in Mexico. She fights a lot in Mexico, so she's been inactive as of late. But I think this is her first bout in, I don't want to say 5, 6 months. All right, good. Now Speaking of returns, the return of my friend. And by the way, there's an interesting statistic for the championship rounds. There's 3 fighters that I've interviewed have gone on to become world champions. All right. Ortega, Metcalf, and Green. All right. Zarina McCoy, IBO. All right. Joanna Wanyu, she interviewed with the guy. I gotta believe she's gonna become a world champion, but standing in her way is one Marilyn Rivas. You heard me talk about this fight for weeks and weeks and weeks. It is upon us. This is fight week. Don't be surprised by Wanyo's skill, but she may come in there and brawl. She's got to maintain poise against Rivas. Rivas has been on a murderous row, fighting for a world title. She's got the loss against Erica Cruz Hernandez, a technical draw against Romero, and she also lost to Micaiah Krebs. So yeah, she's been through the ringer, and this is going to be another test for her, and certainly again a step up for Wanya, who by the way is a European and Commonwealth champion, just hadn't really had the opportunities on the world stage, but she's poised. She's a hell of a fighter. Trust me, trust me, trust me, and she'll become a world champion because she interviewed with your boy. Also this weekend, Shannon Ryan. Come on, Shannon. Come holla at me. I'll get you to the world title. She makes her return. She's 8-1, and she has a win over somebody whose career is totally in ascension. One, Jasmine Zapoxina. Yeah, so you see how a loss don't stop you from doing nothing. Don't stop yourself from seeing Shannon Ryan in action. Very much so an inside fighter, combination puncher. Reminds you of a little bit of faster, more athletic Ellie Scottney, but certainly doesn't have the experience or the pedigree. But Ryan, you gotta love her story. She used to work at one of the arenas, and now she's working on filling them up. So kudos to her. 115 pounds divisions, and her only loss is to Emma Dolan. We know where Emma Dolan's going, right? 115 pounds. You see, I keep talking about that there was a time when I was very disparaging about the super flyweight division, but now it seems to be doing pretty good. All right. And tune in to see Shannon Ryan, because Shannon Ryan, I think she's going to be doing pretty good. Keeping it in that super flyweight division, this is a world title defense against someone that many thought was, the number one contender in many divisions, deserves a world title shot. I'm talking about one Carla Marino. She'll be fighting, I'm going to say defending, the defending champion is Mizuki Hiruta from Japan, making her second stateside fight. She recently had her first stateside bout in January. I like her style, not respectfully zombified like you see with a lot of the Asian fighters. She's got more head movement, which goes a long way. She likes to fight long and tall, keep her opponents right in front of those punches, and very basic combinations, but she can fight inside and sneak those punches in before she gets right back outside to keep her distance. I like the style. I like the style. Very interesting to watch, and she goes for the kill. You got to tune in to see what your assessment of it is. Watch her defend her title again. Marino is no joke, 16-2. So yeah, this is going to be a hell of a bout. Hell of a bout. Hell of a bout. Now, last week we saw an upset. I can't predict the same thing, but I'm saying, yeah. On that same card, you got like 3 or 4, two other fighters you want to pay attention to. All right. Guadalupe Medina, who I believe is next up in 105. Eventually, she will take over for Yocasta Valle. But until now, the 9-0 fighter with 2 KOs. She's in there against Maria Michelle Santizo, 12-5 with 6 KOs. Solid opponent, solid opposition. We just got to see Medina get a world title shot. And, maybe Kim Clavel. Maybe those 2 guys can find a middle of the road reason to duke it out to see who's next for any of the titles at 105, whether it be Valle or the other champion from Japan. All right. Jocelyn Camarillo, 3-0. Welterweight. is also in action on this card. Stephanie Simon, another friend of mine who's interviewed with me, which I'm sure will go on to become world champion, former Marine. She's a Renaissance woman. She's a jack of all trades, and I believe she's going to master this boxing game. 140 pounder, 2-0. A pure boxer, educated style. She's got the pop, but she has a great style. Reminds me of a female Chad Dawson. Very artistic and free flowing punching style. With her defense being her offense, just interesting to watch. All right, she's in there against a fellow, fellow early professional, not novice, fellow early professional. So that should be good, to see solid competition matched early. All right. Chris Cyborg is in action this weekend. Will we see Holly Holm and Chris Cyborg in a boxing ring? And what would that do for either fighter? I don't know. Cyborg, if she's trying to make an entry into boxing, she doesn't or hasn't made the impact that one would think someone with her credentials and legendary name would do, For some reason, she hasn't been able to attract many boxing fans. And I'm telling you, I've been following her closely. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, but she's fighting this weekend against Precious Harris McCray. Harris is a decent opponent. Um, yeah, and I know Cyborg for years and years and years has been angling for a fight with Clarissa Shields, but truthfully, maybe Cyborg, like I said, angle for the Holly Holm fight, maybe even angle for a Bumgarner fight, if that makes sense to where Bumgarner's trajectory, she's trying to be a female prize fighter, if you will. Hell, Serrano and Cyborg, and it'll just be a slugfest, you know what I'm saying? But of course, how much more do we want Serrano to fucking fight? I want her to go chill out somewhere and fucking raise up Crystal Ortiz, man. Like, yo, it's like seeing the OG come in. He on the block going hand to hand with the workers, man. Take your ass out and go be a boss somewhere. What the fuck you out here going hand to hand with the workers for? Serrano, you a boss. Stop going hand to hand with the workers. You know what I mean? Like, we get it. You close to the streets, but leave the streets alone, man. You too old for that shit. Pull your pants up and get off the block, man. Speaking of which, I'm going to pull my pants up and get off the block. Come to the end of today's episode. I'll get this one uploaded as soon as possible because I got so much valuable information that you can share and especially take into this fight weekend, which is clearly packed with action. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for joining me. Please comment, like, share, subscribe, the whole routine. And again, this is our routine because women's boxing is boxing, and boxing, it's a way of life. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys take care.